Welcome to Coffee with Chris. I'm joined today by actor, author, blogger, and affirmer of talent, a gentleman who's been defending his name for 20, 30 years, not Jason Alexander from Seinfeld, Seattle super voiceover artist, Joshua Alexander. Thank you so much for your time and welcome, bud.
You're welcome. Thank you. And yes, call me Jason.
Only when we're paying gigs, we'll call you Jason. Get Jason in here. That'd be great.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I want to dive into it with you. Affirmer of talent, and this really separates what we were kind of chatting about before. Business coach, hey, high five, you can do it, versus a technique coach. Why affirmer of talent? Why this affirmation statement from you?
Wow. Well, I mean, who doesn't like affirmation? I mean, no, stop the affirmation. I don't want to feel positive at all. We're the voice talent, and by the voice talent, I mean like every single voice talent out there. We deal with rejection all day long. So we're auditioning, we're rejected. You know, we are marketing, we're rejected. We're trying to connect with colleagues and maybe teach, and we're rejected. Whatever. And it's hard. It's so hard. It's a tough industry. As actors, you're dependent on being cast in roles. In order to be cast in a role, you have to audition for a role. In order to get your odds up, you have to audition for a lot of roles, thus increasing the rejection chance. So affirmation, I thrive on inspiration and affirmation. I don't know about you, I don't know about the next guy, but I need that. And it's like a rising tide lifts all boats. So I just want to encourage and affirm and say, you can do this. It's not as hard as you might make it. There are different things that you need to put in place in order to do it well, but you really can do this successfully as a career. And yeah, and just think positively and go about it the right way.
Now, when you talk about this, and some listeners may know your career, you've been doing it since '93 when you started off as a telemarketer, and people were like, "Hey, I want that voice for plumbing and declogging." And now here we are, and now here we are with your Seattle voiceover, super voiceovers. Walk me through how we got here. Some people are like, "Josh, I can't do that, man. I can't be you." But you actually didn't start off this way. So talk to me from the 1993 telemarketer sales pitch of pet insurance all the way up to where we are.
Yeah. Well, first of all, no one should be me. That's a really futile and just, I mean, like catastrophic end, I'm sure. Oscar Wilde said, "Be yourself. Everyone else is already taken." Josh Alexander is already taken. So back off. Plumber, declogger, that was never me. I came from wedding videography. Excuse me. Hate that. I really thought that was my life and was going to be my life. And for a while I was like, this is pretty cool, but it's eventually turns into a soul-sucking nightmare. And just you despair even of life. So I started as a telemarketer. Tell no one. I'm glad this interview is completely private. I basically
just you and me. It's okay.
Just you and me. You and Jason. I would sell PSAs to people in the local area that were going to be, sponsored by local businesses, but aired on local radio. So I was but a lowly telemarketer bothering people during dinner. People would buy, and they said, "We'll buy, but we want you to read." And I was like, "Oh, hold please. Can I read this? He wants me to read." Looking for a manager. And I got behind the mic, slapped the cans on, cans being headphones for the layman. And I said, "I really like this, like a really lot," and kind of went forward from there. I ventured into a lot of different multimedia realms, kind of got distracted, I guess you could say. I was always on the riverbank watching voiceovers go by. Voiceovers, just a dreamy, wistfully looking and seeing how I would do that. But I kind of allowed myself to get distracted with singing and jingles and singles and, concerts and poetry and dancing. It's true. A lot of different types of ventures, and then multimedia like video transfer, videography, video production, video duplication, vivisection, everything that started with a V, except for voiceovers. I did it as an add-on, and then just finally decided, I think I want to do this as a service unto itself in the fall of 2016. So with every great artist, it was an evolution. It should be an evolution. That way you learn more. That way you own it more, I think. And for the people who say, "Oh, I'm not you," well, you shouldn't be. Find your own path. There's many paths to success. This was mine.
Now, I may ask if you can do a jingle later on, or a single if you still have one in the head of yours.
Does it have to be about plumbers or decloggers?
It can be about whatever you want. If you remember one, that would be fabulous.
Call 1-800-declogging. I don't know.
It wasn't Cars for Kids. So over the 30 years, and I mean, you're still going strong, which is fabulous. When we look back on everything that you've done to date, is there one project that you're like, I nailed it? That was like, oh, it was just such an emotional connection in that moment for you.
Yeah, well, just to be really fair, so I've been on and off for 30 years. I've been full-time since 2016, full-time in business since 2007, full-time in voiceovers only since 2016. So again, evolution. But it's still a long time. I mean, that's 9 years or 8 years, or I can't add. That's why I got into a creative industry.
Yeah, I'm bad at math too. It's okay. I counted my toes.
45 years. 2 + 2 = chicken. That's me. I think that when people ask me that question, I really never quite know what to say, because there's so many of them, and each one comes at a different stage of life where it means so much more in that context at that time. But I can think of, a handful. I got to play every single character in the New Testament who interacted with Jesus, including Jesus, in a YouTube epic production that was like 7 hours long, and got a $700 tip for that one. So I really like that one. Anytime you get a $700 tip, your liking of something goes up like exponentially. I did one for Discover Long Island that I'll always be fond of. It turned out magically. And I just shared in a blog recently about another project that I did that you read it, and oftentimes you very rarely ever get to see the final production with your voice attached to it. It's an extreme rarity. You're basically just reading a script with passion, with belief, with conviction, and going, all right, thanks, take care. And, they send you a check. Nothing wrong with that. But it's really cool and a huge blessing to see that production and go, by the way, here's how your spot turned out. I've done Sam Elliott down low, like this, and I gotta have a cold to do Sam Elliott properly. But I've done British things. I've been all kinds of different characters, but when you get to see them, is always amazing. It's a real rare treat. Like, that's me, and then you get to see their awesome production. So those are the few that I remember off the top of my head, but there's been scores of them, I'm sure.
So you'd mentioned something pretty neat there, that you were doing the business piece and now you're doing full-time voiceover in 2016 with all these wonderful characters and voices. When we look at these projects and when you say, hey, the next 5-10 years, besides consistent work, is there something specific that you want to do with your career as opposed to doing the business coaching and helping everybody, which is fabulous? Is there something like, I want to be that animated character, I want to be the narrator for the next Star Wars? What would that dream piece look like for you?
So I would love to be repped by a major national agency. I've got several fantastic agents right now, but I was in like a trial run with a major national agency. I'd love to get on board with a major national top tier agency, because then you can become a brand voice for someone and do absolutely everything for them. Their commercials, their e-learning, their IVR, their explainers, everything with them, and it's amazing. Because you're that guy. You're the Old Spice guy, or whatever. I think that role's taken. Whatever the product might be, you're that guy. And it's always cool when people say, I heard you out in the wild, or was this you? Did I just hear you in this? So that's a goal. That's an aspiration, is to be signed with a major top tier agency. I also very much enjoy speaking and teaching. That's just the heart that God's given me. And I love to stand up front and to share what I've been able to learn, so that you don't make the same gosh darn mistakes I did, and have fun, make it fun. A lot of the teaching that you experience this day and age sometimes is just, and you're trying to take bullet point notes, but I want it to be fun and engaging and, draw you in. And that's the way it should be. So yeah, those would be mine.
So when we look at this top tier agency and we look at the training, and I 100% agree with you, you have to have something engaging. There's a lot of guys out there and people out there that are, and the next slide is going to be.
Oh, sorry. Excuse me. What? Yeah.
So it kind of brings me to a piece about the business that you help other actors and voice actors and actresses with. And I've heard it before, and I've heard it, you say it a couple of times in your blogs and your posts, SMART goals with you. When we look at SMART goals, SMART, measurable, attainable, and all these other things, why is that important in the teaching for new people getting into it? Like, everyone should have it, but when you teach SMART goals, why is that such an important lesson for everybody?
Well, first of all, I invented SMART goals. That acronym was mine. I invented it. It was stolen from me. It's goals, period, are so instrumental in your success as a voiceover artist. Otherwise, you're navigating uncharted waters aimlessly. And as an entrepreneur, which you really have to look at yourself first and foremost, not as a voiceover artist, as an entrepreneur. I love Bill DeWeese, I think is who said this. He said, I'm a businessman who just happens to do voiceovers. That's such a great phrase because you have to have your identity first and then put your craft second. If you don't have your identity locked in, your craft ain't going nowhere. So in order to get your identity locked in and to go somewhere, you have to have, a North Star, and you have to have several North Stars. What do you want to do in what time frame, and where would you like to be, and how many jobs would you like to be booking, and what, next book would you like to author? In my case, I've authored 6 books. How many blogs do you want to publish? What's your audience? Blah, blah, blah. What top tier agency do you want to sign with? You really have to have forward trajectory. That's such a hard word to say. I'm a voice talent, and I freaking hate that word. Anytime I see it, it's great. Trajectory. Anytime you are in an entrepreneurial role or a freelancer, you have to have a forward trajectory and know where you're going and set a time limit for that goal. Otherwise, I think I'll hit it by 2183. You got to have a defined time frame. So goals are just, they're indispensable as a freelancer. They're indispensable as a voice talent.
Now, you had mentioned something earlier when you had said that, you want to ensure that newcomers or existing talent don't make similar mistakes. When you look from 2016, I'm going to, again, say the 30-year mark there. You look fabulous for your age, by the way.
Thank you. I'm actually 87. I'm Aragorn's age.
2183, we come. But what are common mistakes when people call you up and say, Josh, I'm going to use your services here, and you get them in front of you? What are some common mistakes that you were seeing that pretty much everyone is making?
Well, first they call me Jason, and that's their first mistake. Some of their first mistakes are the common classic, newbie mistake, rookie moves, underbidding, undercutting, your talent, your colleagues in order to get something on your resume out of desperation. So you see someone else bidding what could very well be a fair market rate of maybe, $500 here. We'll send the bid at $350 so that you can get the job. And what you're doing is you're driving down rates. You're hurting the entire industry. And I really mean that. You're hurting the entire industry. All of us are hurt by driving down these rates that we are entitled to, that we've all worked very hard to perfect our craft in order to have great equipment, in order to book jobs, in order to survive and thrive and, make a living this way. So driving down rates, underbidding, doing things for free, which is just the ultimate. I understand charity and giving and generosity and stuff all too well. But when you do frequently projects for free, you're setting a real dangerous precedent that voiceovers can be obtained on the cheap or free. So when the next legitimate voice talent comes by and they charge this, they're told they're out of their mind. Coming in all guns a-blazing into network groups, Facebook groups, wherever, Reddit, Quora, and just being unteachable, having the I already know that, attitude. It's so sickening. These people, and there are bloggers, there are people who just started yesterday in voiceovers, and they're blogging as if they know absolutely everything, and they get labeled, in some cases rightly so, serial purveyors of bad advice, because they just think they know it all. And you can't teach a know-it-all. and a know-it-all dispenses bad advice because they know it all. So there's another mistake. Being a jerk, behind the keyboard. Trolls are always bolder behind the keyboard. So, being two-faced is another thing. There are, legitimate established voice talent that I remember emailing somebody mistakenly one time, a marketing email. She's a fellow voice talent. And she responded, like, may I ask why you're sending this to another voice talent? And I said, oops, sorry, didn't curate my list properly. Forgive me. No response. Hey, did you get my email? I just wanted to apologize. I think highly of you and sorry about that. No response. And it was like, wow, my opinion of you just goes down. So whether you're at the top or bottom, don't be a jerk. That's my 3 free advice I give to you.
I love that voice. Is there, when you get a project, is there a certain character project or a character voice that you're like, you know what, this is my tried and faithful, and this is kind of the one that I have the fun with the most? Do you have a voice that you just are drawn to the most?
So I don't do a whole lot of character animation, but I do a whole bunch of British reads. So anytime there's a British read that comes across, which just I'm sure thoroughly angers friends and colleagues like Craig Williams. Hi, Craig, who is a Brit living in Dallas, and he's got a legitimate British accent. And so, he auditioned for that role because he's British. And so, here I get it. And he's like, so, but I love doing the British reads. I love doing Latino reads, because I'm Hispanic. And so I explain to you so that you will not scream, it's a little bit Antonio Banderas flair, but, and just silly maniacal stuff. Trolls, are slurring their speech. When they come along, I do those sometimes, but I'm more of a straightforward commercial explainer, e-learning vanilla guy.
Well, it was always that, the rock, if you will. It's commercials, e-learning and stuff are going to be the foundation for the bank account. It's the work that's more consistent than doing the animated voices or the cartoon shows, for sure.
Yeah.
So do you do, and I even know the answer to this, I'm setting my listeners up here to fail. When we talk about audiobooks, you've talked about animation, you've talked about narration, we've talked about these things, but not a lot of audiobooks. I already know the answer to this, but I'm going to give it to you anyway. In your opinion, why don't you love doing audiobooks or enjoy doing audiobooks?
It's a fair question, and to each their own. If your bread and butter or your passion is audiobooks, more power to you. I know some people that just, like, I love doing commercial. They love doing audiobooks, and that's okay. It's to each their own. Again, there are many paths to success. I don't enjoy them because they are long and rigorous and not worth my investment time. The people, particularly the audiobook clients that need you to do it on a royalty share basis, that just doesn't jive with me, because if you believe in your book, then pay me to narrate it. I'm investing time, experience, expertise, equipment, editing, a whole bunch of effort on what could turn out to be 3, 5, 8-hour audiobook, and you want me to wait until it sells before I get paid? It just takes way too long. There's only one audiobook client that I will narrate for. I've narrated several of his books, if not all of his books, named Thibaut Meurice. He's French, in case that wasn't obvious, and he's kind of a self-help, like personal improvement author. I love his stuff. I love his material. So I will narrate Thibaut's, but I really don't narrate a whole lot of other audiobooks because of the low ROI.
It's a great point to make when we look at these 3, 5, and 8-hour audiobooks, and it's the per finished hour or the bulk of it. And the royalty share, you're 100%, it kind of saturates the market of, well, I'll just get someone to do it for free to build their resume, and then here we go with it, right?
Yeah.
But it is neat that you do still dabble in that. It's really cool in that sense. But where can people learn more about your books? You have 6 published books right now. I know they're on Amazon, but they can get them directly from you as well. What would that site be?
Yeah. Well, as with any URL that I have, they all have to start with super. So supervoiceoverbook.com. I think I also have supervoiceoverbooks.com. Don't quote me on that. But it should be, because there's 6. So I started with voiceovers, a super business, a super life, I believe back in 2018. believe it was, or 2019. I think it was published in 2020. And that was the first of what became a trilogy of the Super Voiceover Artist trilogy. So they're very inspirational, practical, encouraging observations, and with a lot of satire, because much of the content comes from my blogs, and I intend my blogs to be very satirical. I love blogging. And so authoring is a natural offshoot of that. So go to supervoiceoverbook.com and you'll see that trilogy. How Do I Get Started in Voiceovers is another book. Running a Successful Voiceover Business is another book that was featured on Backstage for the 9 best books to have. So, that was a nice award. Thank you. And latest publishing is called The 5 T's to Triumph. The Secrets to Getting Cast in Voiceovers. That was just published a week and a half ago. So yes, you can get them on Amazon. You can get them from supervoiceoverbook.com.
And where can people learn more about you? If they're listening to this and they're watching this at home and say, wow, I really want to hire this guy to declog a pipe finally, where can we get you?
Yeah, we'll go to handsomemen.com, and I'm at the top of the list. You could go to, again, supervoiceover.com or supervoiceovers. I know that one is plural, supervoiceover or voiceovers.com. For coaching, you can go to supervoiceovercoaching.com. For training videos on voiceovers, you can go to supervoiceovertraining.com. And it just basically, that's my branding, is Superman. My tagline is superhuman being, superhuman voice. So all of them, of course, have to start with super.
Fair enough. I want to ask you a hard-hitting question here, Josh. What is something people tend to misunderstand about you?
I'm so misunderstood all the time. How could you ask me that? So I often, I think, get in the way of myself, actually. Goofy, nutty, little light in his loafers. I understand that, but I really wouldn't have it any other way. Laughter is the best medicine, and that's what keeps me going. So maybe it's hard to take me seriously as a business coach because of the goofy side. Well, several people have been coached by Scott Burns, the first North American voice of Bowser. Scott is my coach. He's a beloved mentor. I love him to death. If I leave my wife for anybody, it'll be for Scott Burns. He's a fantastic mammal, and everybody needs to coach with him. Walking exclamation mark. I love the guy. But he is very goofy. He's a very goofy guy. When you peel that back and want to get to the meat of it, he is such a good coach. He's such a great coach and such a great demo producer. So I think I'm a little bit akin to him in that regard. But I can be a little socially awkward, I think, and sometimes I will post things out there that are meant to be inspirational, and they will be taken the wrong way. They're taken as boasting. Here's what I made this week, as meant as inspiration. My brother is a huge braggart. I detest posting. I post the things that I post to inspire, to encourage, to show, yes, you can actually do this as a career. But people will see that sometimes and go like, Josh is boasting again, about how many jobs he got. It's not the case. So it is frustrating sometimes.
I have time for one last question for you, Josh. And it's, oh yeah, no, please take a time, dab away. Yep. I have a couch and a pillow here. You're welcome. So my last question for you today, Josh, is what makes Joshua Alexander smile?
Oh man, that's the interview just like quintupled in duration. So my little boys are 7 and 3, and I love them with every ounce of my being and the fire of 1,000 suns. I love my boys, and they are crazy, witty, self-assured, fantastic, creative, playful. I love my boys, and they make me smile. I sincerely love my voiceover career. I'm so grateful to have been delivered, hallelujah, from wedding videography and to be able to do this every day. I so love blogging. I totally forgot to list the blog when you asked how people could find me. Sign up at itsthevoicesinmyhead.com for a very witty, funny, dry humor, satirical blog that always has a message to bring it home in the end. Itsthevoicesinmyhead.com. I think I also have supervoiceoverblog.com, which forwards there. Anyway, Blogging makes me very happy. My wife makes me very happy. Jesus makes me very happy. My life as it is right now, our church, our neighbors, our pasture right outside there. Just, we moved here in August 2020 and we love where we live and we love our home. And I'm just happy as a clam right now for where God has me. That could change. A meteor, could hit everything and just destroy everything right away. But for now, so many things are just bringing me so much joy. It's hard to contain. So.
Well, I appreciate that. Well, everyone, this has been Joshua Alexander, super voiceover artist. Get there to see some of his books. Get on his websites. Amazing affirmation talent coach, of course. Fingers crossed that one of those top tiers give you a call, buddy. Have a fantastic day, everybody, and smile to inspire. Thank you.